Alright, we are back at it again with the 5th match in the Glowboro Kings Season 2 run in the UPDL. This week, our opponent is 3 Perserrkers in a trench coat, led by the ever-dutiful Coach Hambaga. Breaking into it with the opponent's roster, we're starting off with something you never like to see on the enemy team, and that's, of course, Chiyu. With the Fire and Dark typing, this thing has a effective offensive profile, and with a choice item on it, it's a scary threat that you really got to account for. Furthermore, we got AG Slash here, that nice steel and ghost typing, and it's got the offense, it's got the defense, it's all in a nice blade and shield shaped package. And you really can't quite predict what it's going to do, if it's going to boost on you, if it's going to substitute up, if it's going to toxic stall you. It's a really good threat. Next up is Weavile, who's got that nice and slick 125 speed along with the Ice Shard priority, that triple axle knockoff stab. Really scary physical sweeper as well. Coming up next is Nidoking, who's got some good utility and those sheer force boosted attacks to really punch holes just like a hole puncture might. Furthermore, we got Claydol sitting here with some hazard removal to support those rock weak types up on the front with Chiyu and Weavile, along with Levitate, which helps it really wall out my Pokemon like Clodsire. Toxapex here can really just sit and stay. Can be a real big problem for an end game scenario. Not something you want to deal with without the correct answer, so you always got to keep a check in mind when you have a Toxapex on the other side. Pinsir, the Mega style, is a menace into my team with that aerial 8 quick attack hitting a lot of my team for super effective damage at 48 base power on a nice 135 attack. Definitely a threat, especially with those returns and those earthquakes and those close combats. Perserrker can Terra, and he's got that Steely Spirit to really hit those Iron Heads and those Play Roughs nice and strong. Galvantula can spread paralysis and make my life a living hell, as well as spreading Sticky Web for some really solid speed control. Wuxian can tear out of its horrible, abysmal Grass and Dark typing into something like a Fire type, and kind of just sit there, Leech Seed up, Leftover up, and suck you dry with his long straw. Hitmonlee can get that Unburden boost and outspeed everything on my team and fire off strong physical fighting attacks. And Rampardos, if left to his own devices and get supported, those head smashes are going to delete anything that I put in front of it outside of maybe Clodsire. So, very intimidating team. Moving into what I brought to tackle it, we're going to start with Jaundice Dog, the shiny Lucario, running a Focus Sash this week. And he is mainly here to be using that Nasty Plot Vacuum Wave combo. He is sashed up and ready to Nasty Plot, and that's going to really let him take care of that Weavile and that Chiyu, hitting them both for an OHKO, Weavile without a boost and Chiyu with a boost. Perserrkers also there to get hit by the heat of the Vacuum Wave. Psychic and Dark Pulse just further help the guy take care of some of those other threats on the team and provide some pretty solid coverage, hitting I think most of it for at least neutral. Flinch chance on the Dark Pulse and the Psychic 10% Spadef drop could really come in clutch at the right time. Moving to our next member, we've got the Big Claude himself running Water Absorb this week to be able to take care of that Toxapex. Beyond that, we've got the Black Sludge and an Impish Nature with that EQ and Stone Edge combination to really hit that team very effectively. Earthquake and Stone Edge can hit a ton of stuff super effectively here, and Curse lets it boost up and really secure those kills, while Recover can keep it nice and healthy. Moving on to the next one, we got Ogre Pawn Hearthflame. She is here this week again. First thing she's running is Taunt to prevent that sticky web out of a Galvantula with a Sash, and then Ivy Cudgel it into next Tuesday. And it also helps to really take some momentum out of those walls like Toxapex and Wuxian. It can really wall a Wuxian with being immune to knockoff through the Hearthflame Mask being one of those special sticky items, and being immune to Leech Seed, so it's a pretty solid answer there. Furthermore, this Ivy Cudgel just takes care of some of those really scary offensive threats. Of course, it doesn't want to necessarily look a pincer down the barrel, but it's got that switch in absolutely covered by virtue of that 100-100 fire type move. And of course, we got Zen Headbutt, which lets it not get walled out by a Toxapex and Toxic Down, and it also covers Nidoking and Hitmonlee, who's not pictured here. A speed controller for this week is Leavanny with the Sash and Chlorophyll ability, running Terra Blast, Rock, Trailblaze, and Baton Pass, and Sticky Web. The Sticky Web really is here for the Scarf Chi-Yu. That's not something that you want outspeeding your entire team, so you can get it back down to neutral if you remove that boost with a Sticky Web proc. Furthermore, it also counterwebs the Galvantula and can take care of some of those faster threats like Weavile and Hitmonlee there. Terra Rock, also pretty nice, hitting all these threats super effectively, OHKOing pretty much anything a Mega Pinsir wants to do here. It also turns that quad effective Aerial 8 quick attack into a resisted hit, maybe living 1 or 2. I forget what exactly the calc on that is, but it's definitely somewhere out there. If you want to do it for yourself, you can give yourself some homework. And Trailblaze Baton Pass, if the opportunity presents itself, could be really nice in endgame if it hasn't come out yet, giving Ogerpon a speed boost to really help out, or enabling something that's a little slower. But the main job of it here is to Sticky Web and Terra Blast Rock. Next up, Chlorophyll. Next up is Torkoal, running Cussed Up Berry and Explosion in that first attack slot, because you know what? It's funny. It's real funny. Stealth Rocks really helps, of course, break the sashes on something like a Weavile and hurts Chi-Yu and Pinsir on switch in for pretty solid damage, allowing some calcs to go much more my way. And Will-O-Wisp will allow Torkoal to take on some of those physical attackers on the switch in. Maybe Rampardos is a bad example here, seeing as I'm sure that head smash is outspeeding and putting a big old dent in Torkoal's head, but that's what it's here to do. It's also got that Lava Plume in the set in case it wants to click it. Finally, here, rounding out the team, we've got Torny T flying in from the left, wielding a Life Orb with the Regenerator ability and a Modest Nature. This week, we got Focus Blast on him. As long as it's hitting, it can be doing some important work into this team. Hitting Rampardos, Chi-Yu, it's hitting Perserrker before Terra, it's hitting Woxian before Terra. Nice move to hit, nice move for coverage. Furthermore, we got Defog because I've got 4 Rock Weak Mons on this team, so you know that I'm not going to pull up without any hazard removal. I think Tornadus here not having it, especially with a Weavile lurking around, is maybe a bit of a lack of foresight, but at least there's some hope of getting that Defog off and removing some hazards. Of course, it does run the risk of getting my own Sticky Web gone, but if that's what needs to happen, that's what needs to happen. And finally, Dark Pulse and Bleakwind Storm can just provide some ample coverage, hitting some important threats. The Life Orb Dark Pulse does OHKO that AG slash right there, and does a solid chunk to Claydol as well. With all my team members wrapped up, let's head right on into the replay. Cracking into this bad Mamma Jamma Banana, we see a team comprised of Nidoking, Chi-Yu, Weavile, Woxian. Chat, help me here. AG slash and Claydol. Now, we're not too crestfallen because of this team. We're going to try this one more time. Cracking into this bad Mamma Jamma Banana, we see Nidoking, Chi-Yu, Weavile, Woxian, AG slash, and Claydol. And you know what? There's some scary threats, but these are all threats that I was well prepared for. So, it ain't the worst thing in the world. Looking at where we lead off here, let's press that play button. We've got Claydol and Tornadus Therian out here, the Castrato this week versus Over. And here I'm expecting a switch in easily because this Tornadus has run Dark Pulse in the past and it will run it again, and it is running it now, so let's see what happens. We get the Magic Coat up, and I honestly don't exactly know what the idea was there, but the Life Orb going and hitting for over half means that this is a pretty free Dark Pulse. If something switches in, I mean, he's got some good Dark type resists, having 3 Dark types on that enemy team, but it's a freak ship on whatever wants to come in, but it stays in again. And Weavile comes out. Now, we've got this Ice Shard and Triple Axle to worry about, so we bring out our big tanky boy, Torkoal, and this Triple Axle, while resisted, it still hits for 32%, about a third. Nidoking comes out and the rocks go up, which is very nice to see, especially because the spinner is dead in Claydol, so those rocks are presumably here to stay. Especially since I don't necessarily have as much of a reason to click Defog with out Galvantula on the other team. A Poison Jab comes out and absolutely chunks here, and then the Sucker Punch, which I was not expecting, making Tornadus go down, but Tornadus provided some solid utility, and honestly, the Focus Blast is a little redundant with that Lucario in the back ripping that Vacuum Wave Nasty Plot set, so it's not necessarily the end of the world. Moving on, we do have to deal with this big old Nidoking here hitting real hard. Ogerpon comes out, threatening that Ivy Cudgel for a big Oko in the sun, boosted by the sun by an extra 50%. Not a lot of people want to do that. Now, Weavile comes out, and Torkoal comes back out. I'm presuming that that Triple Axle would have Oko'd into our good friend Ogerpon. Triple Axle does come out, and it is a big hit, not quite into Custap range. That's 8% off, and we know that we only hit that if one of these Triple Axle hits on the next turn misses. Unfortunately, it doesn't, but it's okay. Torkoal goes down, and it lets us bring in Leavanny. And Leavanny tears rock with that Chlorophyll outspeeding the ever fast, the ever lightning quick Weavile, and it goes down. Leavanny sees Wo-Chien come in here. It protects. We actually Sticky Web. We don't Terra Blast on that yet. So this is a lovely turn. Of course, it trying to scout out if I have a bug move or not, most likely because, I mean, you press X Scissor into a quad weakness, even if it might Terra, especially on this Sash. Terra Blast comes in again for peanuts, absolute packing peanuts, and the Leech Seed comes out here, which is not great. Wo-Chien getting back everything it lost. Ogerpon comes out, which is a pretty dang solid answer, and the Terrifier comes out. Knockoff as well, which doesn't actually get to knock off our item, and the taunt goes out, which is lovely because we taunted the taunt. The double taunt here is lovely. That taunt, of course, coming in to stop something like a Swords Dance or Spiky Shields. A really quite good taunt there, but it's nice. So now we have this Wo-Chien who's missing quite a few moves. I believe it can only use Knockoff here because the other three are status moves and Protect, Leech Seed, and Taunt. So moving onwards and upwards, Lucario comes up here, gets knocked off. It's okay because it's a Sash. At this point, I mean, we're not getting O-code by this Wo-Chien. Knock off again. I'm surprised kind of... Oh, no Leech Seed because of the taunt. We get the Nasty Plot off and then decide to swap to deny the Leech Seed here and taunt again, which is losing some significant momentum and letting Ogerpon take a hit that it doesn't necessarily want to. I'm not exactly sure what the... presumably the Psychic or the Dark Pulse attack would have done there, but Wo-Chien is a strong-ass wall. So ideally you want I believe a physical threat, if I'm remembering its ability and stats thread right. You want a physical threat to break it down. Unfortunately, it resists Ogerpon outside of Zen Headbutt here. So Clodsire comes out here, takes the knockoff, so no chip healing, which is too bad. But we get the swap here, the balloon hitting it, saving it from the Sticky Web, and we get a Curse Off. Now, this Aegislash starts to automize, which is good if it's running... It's horrifying if it's running, I believe it gets Zen Headbutt. It gets something physical. It might get Psycho Cut. It gets physical Psychic coverage, which could be really, really bad for Friar Claudius here. And we are not unaware, so if it starts boosting its offenses, Friar Claudius is not happy. Especially with that balloon, we have to hit a Stone Edge to be able to hit it with a super effective Earthquake. And yeah, sped up. If this is able to remove Clodsire, we're in big trouble, because this is the only thing that can stop it. That Sword Stance comes out, horrifying, and the Stone Edge hits. Stance change. We're getting an attack in here. Let's see it. We get a Shadow Claw. 38% is not ideal. That Earthquake makes it go down. If it was running something that one-shot this Friar Claudius, and if we didn't get that extra defense boost, that probably would have decided the game Chiyu would have been able to come in and probably eat everything. Luckily, Chiyu comes in, and I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, Friar Claudius gets sacked here. We also get to know that it has Psychic, which is interesting information. Terra Blast comes out, boom, one shot. I do believe that, for the record, this was a Scarf Chiyu, if the post-match discussion is still lodged in my little walnut brain up there. I'm not 100% sure if that's it, but I'm pretty sure it was, and the webs, of course, were for that exact purpose. Moving in here, we've got Wokshan, and this begins one of the greatest stalls in the season so far, if I do say so myself. This Wokshan is about to go on, not a sprint, but a marathon. We're still locked in for at least 10 more turns here, so let's go on. Getting hit for super effective damage by the Stealth Rocks. Ogerpon comes out here to deny a Leech Seed or a knockoff here, which it does. Very nice. We get the taunt protected, which is, oh, well, 1 PP off the taunt, but that's a 32 PP move. Knockoff coming here. We are only living 1 or 2 more of those knockoffs, which is not nice. The Power Whip here, not ideal. I'm surprised that I'm not pressing Zen Headbutt here. Oh, there it is. I don't know why I Power Whipped on this turn. I honestly couldn't tell you. Maybe that was a misclick. Maybe that was me being a little bit delusional. But the Zen Headbutt comes out here, actually doing less damage, so maybe I had an idea somewhat. And Missionary Kabuki, Ogerpon, she sees the grave here. Leavanti comes back out. Terra Blast hitting pretty solidly, but the Leech Seed missing. Now, this Leech Seed missing honestly might have been the deciding factor. 12% more health at any stage might have kept Wokshan long enough to honestly just ruin my entire career here. But we get the Protect, and we try to Terra Blast again. Understandable, get those chip healings from leftovers. Another Terra Blast hitting pretty strong. The Leech Seed connecting this time, getting 18% off the heal. We swap Lucario here for the Protect, but it fails. So now they've got another Protect up, but they can't really use it without letting a free Nasty Plot up. So you assume a Leech Seed is coming in here, and it does. Getting more chip healing off here, back up to over half health. This thing nearly saw the grave, and it's clawing its way out of it. It does not want to be in the pit yet. Times 3 special attack, and I'll tell you here, folks, that this is still not enough to OHKO. It lives a times 3 Psychic or Dark Pulse here. Knockoff comes in, no good. Then the 12% gets drained out, and Lucario, the Prophet, the Jaundice, is not looking good here, especially with the Protect up. The Wokshan going up back to 87%, down from, it was at like, what, 18 earlier? Crazy climb back up. It is here for the long run, as I said. We get this Psychic off, and it nearly dooms it. Nearly. Knockoff killing, and now I believe later you'll see in the chat that Hambaga, the coach, admits that this might have been a blunder, that the chip healing was probably a better idea here. Leavanti comes out. We're getting towards the end. One of these 2 Terra Captains is going to fall. The Protect goes up for, I mean, why not seize the leftovers, of course, the chip healings. And then this Terra Blast is just enough. And I honestly forget, that might have been a roll. We can look through the chat here and see where Leavanti was here. 33%. So maybe that was on the lower side of rolls. Do we have another one? Protected, Terra Blast 32. So it actually must have not been a roll. I, of course, am way too lazy to bring up the calculator right here, right now, and I also don't know this thing's exact stats thread, but with that last Terra Blast, on turn 40, the game ends. A lovely match down to the wire, honestly determined by most likely that one Leech Seed miss and maybe letting the Lucario die instead of getting sucked by Leech Seed. But a damn good match and a damn good team and a damn good coach. Week 5 right there wrapped up. Coach Hambaga, thank you for your play and all that you do for the league in the background. Well, I'll flash up the unpaid Hambaga labor meme right here. And yeah, you all have a good one. Thank you for watching me ramble about Pokemon again. Bye-bye.